everybody, and welcome to our second Out of This World news. This one is for October 1st through the 14th. And since I don't have to explain phosphine this time, this one's going to be more akin to how the rest of these are going to go. So let's get started. Happy birthday to the space race. October 4th, 1957, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics launched Sputnik 1. Sputnik was 23 inches in diameter and weighed 184 pounds. It had a radio transmitter in it, and what it was designed to do was scare the bejeebers out of the Western civilization, which it did quite well. The White House was aware it was going to take off. However, they were not anticipating the response they got from everybody in the United States when it finally did go up. Now, a lot of people think it's still up there floating around somewhere, but it actually, the radio transmitter only lasts for 14 days or about 1,400 orbits. It burned up in reentry on January 4th, 1958. So it was a very low Earth orbit, but if you knew when it was going overhead, you could see it. It looked kind of like the International Space Station does to us now when it goes overhead. More on this in our next Out of This World news coming up at the end of the month, but scheduled on October 23rd for a 5:47 a.m. launch is the next Dragon mission from SpaceX. This one is called Crew 1, and it's going to launch 4 astronauts. Shannon Walker, Victor Glover, Mike Hepkins, and Soichi Noguchi are all going to be heading for the International Space Station. So on October 1st, at technically 5:05 p.m., we are going to have a full moon. This one is called the harvest moon because it is the full moon closest to the autumnal equinox. Farmers a long time ago would take advantage of the bright moonlight near the autumnal equinox to bring in their crops, hence it's called the harvest moon. However, the moon only takes 29 and a half days to go around the Earth, which means on October 30th, we are going to have a second full moon in October, and we call that a blue moon. Now, what is a blue moon? An older meaning defines a blue moon as the third full moon in a season that has 4 full moons. So one way, it's called a seasonal blue moon, and that occurs about every 2.5 years. More recently, the term blue moon has been applied to the second full moon within a single calendar month. It's unusual for this to happen because most months are 30 to 31 days, so it doesn't happen very often. And by the way, if you look at that, you'll know that means February can never have a blue moon. The last blue moon we had was on March 31st, 2018. And these don't happen all that frequently. The phrase once in a blue moon has been around for more than 400 years. According to Philip Hissock, a folklorist at the Memorial University of Newfoundland, the earliest use of the term was much like saying the moon is made of green cheese. It indicated something absurd. The meaning evolved to something like never. I'll marry you when the moon turns blue became the equivalent of I'll marry you when pigs fly. Our current meaning of a blue moon actually came from a radio show that was nationally syndicated in 1980. The word blue is actually after an Old English term that means betrayer. Now, this doesn't mean that the moon is actually going to appear blue in the sky. It's going to appear as it does on every night. The moon can appear blue in the sky if, like in California, you've got the wildfires going, there's high-level haze or something like that, it can actually change the color of the moon. But really, the only thing that makes this special is that it is the second full moon of the month. Also coming up, Mars is going to appear its biggest and brightest in a telescope in our nighttime sky for a long time, until 2035. We reach closest approach to Mars on October 6th, and we reach opposition on October 13th. Opposition is when Mars is opposite the sun in the sky, so it rises at sunset, stays up all night, and sets at sunrise. Now, we are going to be closer to Mars at 39 million miles on the 6th than we have been since 2003 and 2008. Why is it that our distance to Mars changes so much when we line up on the same side of the sun? Well, our orbit around the sun and Mars's orbit around the sun are not circles. They are egg-shaped. And when we get close to Mars, what happens is we are nearing our furthest point from the sun, what we call perihelion, and Mars is at its closest approach to the sun, that is called aphelion. That does not happen all that often. And NASA and 3 other space agencies actually took advantage of this. That's why Perseverance is on its way to Mars right now. It's taking advantage of this extra close approach to help get it to the red planet. So if you have a telescope or a pair of binoculars, it is going to be an absolutely great time to look at Mars. Even with a fairly small telescope, you may even be able to make out the polar ice caps. But photography works the best when you are doing that. Okay, let's take a look at some of the things we can see in our current nighttime sky. I have it set for October 3rd at 9 p.m. and we are looking south here. Still, just like last time, we have Saturn and Jupiter very prominent in the southern sky. Jupiter will be the first object you see in the nighttime sky for the next several weeks up there. And even though we are in fall, they are found in the constellation of Sagittarius the Archer. There's our teapot right there, and they come off that way. Still also prominent in the sky directly overhead is the summer triangle. Deneb, Vega, and Altair make up the triangle in 3 separate groups. That's almost directly overhead. That makes Vega probably the most likely star you'll first see tonight. You'll see Jupiter and Saturn, and then Vega will appear to you. But as I move us around to the east over here, you will notice what I was just talking about. There is Mars in our nighttime sky, almost as bright as Saturn, approaching the brightness of Jupiter as we get ready for this close approach. It rises just after sunset, and as I said, on October 13th, it will be rising just as the sunset. You should be able to see it by about 9 o'clock. That's why I chose this time. And on October 3rd, we're also going to have the moon in the neighborhood too. Please ignore these little things over here. We can't turn them off. These are 4 very, very minor meteor showers, maybe only a few an hour from any one of these, and they're best seen after midnight. But as I said last time, on any given time you go out to look at the nighttime sky, you can see anywhere from 4 to 5 an hour, even if there isn't a meteor shower going on. So there you go. A few things to keep you updated on the nighttime sky and what's going on in the world of space and astronomy. I will be back on October 15th with our next Out of This World News.